future welders? We're back here with another video from AmeriArc Welding Academy. My name is Andre Williams, and video today is going to be on pipeline downhill welding. This is a process that's used here in this New York, New Jersey area that's mainly used in tank farms, for power plants, things of that nature. I will show you the prep, the position, the breakdown, everything from beginning to end. Let's get started. We just finished prepping our piece, and let me tell you something, prep is everything. Take your time. Use the extra time to prep your joint. You want to weld it, you don't want to fight it. As for me, I like a nice 332 land. I try to keep it clean. I clean the inside where you'll see the root penetrate at. I don't want my root bead to fight through any rust or any mill scale that could possibly be on the inside. A lot of times you get these pipes and they may sit down in like a pipe yard. And once they're in a pipe yard, they may rust, moisture get to it. So make sure you clean the inside really well. So like I said, I like a 332 land, and I typically use a 332 spacer. We're gonna do a 532 root, and we're gonna do a 316 hot pass, fill and cap. Yes, we're going for the heavy hitters. This is how it's done in the field. None of that 1/8 stuff. We're going straight to production. We want a production weld. We want speed, proficiency, and this is how you get it done. So I have my piece prepped up. I have my 332 spacer. Some may say a nickel land, nickel gap, but this is my setup. A big thing, the way I prep my tacks, or how we prep our tacks here, I don't blow through my tacks. I don't try to thin out my tacks and keep it going. Your tacks is part of your root. I say let's just leave it there. A big thing is I ramp my tacks really well. I ramp the front and the back of the tack. That's my keyhole. That's where I'll actually come off at and slide into. I want to ramp my tacks really well, paper thin to the edge. You can leave the center of the tack, you can leave that pretty solid. The reason being is I want a smooth transition. I want to slide into my tack and have a smooth transition, and we'll see how this looks once I finish putting my root pass in. Let's set up and get started welding. This is a 12-inch joint. We're gonna do schedule 375 wall. We're gonna do a 532 60-10. We are going for a production weld in the field. This is what's mainly used in the industry, okay? We're gonna go for a 532 gap. We're gonna go for a 316 hot, fill and cap. Here is the technique that I typically use. I really don't put 4 tacks in. I actually put a 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I put around a 9 o'clock tack. The reason why is because it gives me one less tie-in. I'm not too worried about my tie-ins anyway, but once I start at 12, it's just one less problem to potentially have, just in case. I run my root pass from 12 going straight down to 6. Whenever my rod run out, I'll pretty much just switch rods, continue on and tie in. All right, let's get started. So I typically start 12 o'clock. A big thing with welding pipe in general is rod positioning. My rod positioning, as I start, I'm always pointing towards the center of the pipe. So my rod positioning is up here. I'm never at an angle. The whole time I weld, I'm pointing towards the center line of the pipe. I'm coming down, and it's not my wrist that's moving. I'm actually moving my elbow. I'm sweeping down with my elbow. I'm doing a sweeping motion, coming down with my elbow the whole time. Again, 12 o'clock, look at my rod positioning, look at how I get started. Down 5. Now the whole time I'm welding, my eyes are staring at that keyhole. I'm staring at that keyhole and I'm just dragging that keyhole down. One thing I'm noticing is that the weld puddle is trying to grab the left side of the bevel a little more than the right. Up 5. So what I'll do is I give it a little pressure to the right. Up 5. So as soon as I stop, if you take a look right here, I give it a little jab. I give it a little pop in as soon as I stop, so that I can have a nice little keyhole to slide into. I'm gonna strike up at least an inch before my tie-in. I strike up an inch before my tie-in so that I can heat everything up. It can become nice and warm. Now I make my tie-in, I give it another little push in the inside just to make sure that connection is good, and I keep on rolling. All my fire is on the inside of this pipe. You never want to see too much fire towards you. Everything is on the inside of the pipe. Basically, a root pass is welding the inside of the pipe from the outside. That's basically what you're doing. I'm keeping pressure on this rod. If you pay attention to my rod angle is always 90 degrees. Straight, pointing towards the center line of the pipe. Not much of an angle. I'm gonna stop right now. The reason why I chose to stop right there is because a big thing, let me show you guys. A big thing, once you start running out of rod, don't ever, this is a trade secret, don't ever try to stretch it. I don't care if you think you're gonna make it the rest of the way. I have maybe 3 inches to go before I tie into 6 o'clock. I'm not gonna take any chances. As soon as I see that my rod is starting to run short, I'd rather dump it, grab a new rod, and continue on. I wanna have plenty welding rod left by the time I tie in. Let's go. Always start with a fresh new rod. So I have about 2 inches of rod left. I have about 2 inches of weld left. Again, never take that chance, because just your luck, you will run out of rod right before the tie-in. Then you have to do a bunch of grinding. It's just too much. So Just to reiterate, I switch rods. I always start with a fresh new rod. I strike up 1 inch before my breakthrough point, basically my keyhole. That's the keyhole of the pipe. I'm gonna strike up at least 1 inch above so I can heat everything up so the time I make a nice clean tie-in. Again, pay attention to my rod angle. Gently move into my tack. I got plenty of rod left, so I'm just gonna slide right over my tack and keep going. Up 5. Again, we mainly teach here at AmeriArc Welding Academy. We're teaching industry standards. We're teaching production. This is not like a novelty experience here. Okay, so I'm nicely tied into my root. Everything looks good. I cannot stress the reason why that root went so smoothly is because your prep. Your prep is everything. I'm telling you, it make the pipe weld itself. I'm gonna grind up this root so we could get onto our hot pass. Again, we're using a 3/16 hot pass. That's pretty heavy. A lot of guys may be a little fearful of using such a large diameter rod on your hot pass. They think they're gonna blow through. You're not, and I'm gonna show you how. As a welder, like we don't go to HR. Like there's no HR. like if we're in the field and too many of our joints go down, they can get rid of you. So I mean, it's just like that. It's really no step process. All right. So as a welder, you have to be proficient at it. You have to, every pass gotta matter. I know for me, every pass matter. I'm looking for perfection on every pass. Maybe I'm a perfectionist, but even when training guys, that's kind of what I go with. Like I go for perfection. Every pass matters. Make sure every pass looks nice. You finish from root to final. Because again, our job is on the line with every weld that we do. Once you reach a production level, once you reach and you work for a good company, a big company, it's about production and proficiency. So now we're gonna go with our 3/16 hot pass. We're gonna do pretty much a scrape and drag technique where you scrape down into the root and you kind of whip back. So I say scrape and whip. Let's call it a scrape and whip technique. And what that does is for your root pass, it really strengthens your root pass and it really gets that root kind of buckled out. we make sure we run that root down to there. All right, we run that rod, I'm sorry. We make sure we run that rod down to there so we're not having no wastage. Turn me down 5. That looks sweet, right? So that's my hot pass. This is my 316 hot pass. It's clean. We can go right over that. No grinding necessary. You got clean metal straight through. No slag inclusion, no porosity. And you guys check it out and let's get started. Now let's move on to our fill pass. Again, we're still welding with 316. We're using 8010 pipeliner rod. This is actually one of my favorite rods to weld with. You have complete control of the weld puddle. It comes out pretty smooth. All right, let's check it out. If you look at my technique on how I fill this pipe, I'm pretty much going in like a horseshoe pattern, especially at the top, right around 12 o'clock, around this 1 o'clock. It's a nice horseshoe pattern where I can kind of push back up into the weld pool and really fill that up. I want to get it filled almost like just a hair below the surface of the pipe. I go down 5. Now I kind of just work it back and forth. I'm always looking at the weld puddle. The whole time that I weld, I'm always doing whatever the weld puddle tells me to do. So basically, if it's more metal to be filled, I just hold it, I move a little slower. We're running out of rod. This is a little different. I kind of strike up. As I strike up maybe like 2 inches ahead of where I actually want to start. I want to strike up here and then I want to drag up. I want a nice hot arc, hot puddle when I tie into where I previously was at. Let's go. Again, a good thing to pay attention to is my rod angle. Look how I work it. I kind of do little circles, horseshoe pattern. The whole time I'm staring at that puddle, and I just really want to fill up that bevel. I want to fill that bevel. And we're welding with 316 rod. We're doing our fill pass with 316. It's gonna fill up rather fast. Occasionally I might step out the puddle and push back into it just so I can fill it up. But again, I'm taking my time. Most importantly, I'm taking my time. I'm not looking to rush this process. Because we're welding with such a large diameter rod, it's gonna fill up anyway. You're gonna move kind of fast anyway. I know in this field, a lot of guys is looking for speed. I am looking for speed, but the speed is gonna come from being proficient at every pass. That's where the speed is gonna come from. The speed is not gonna come from rushing the weld. It's gonna come from your proficiency in every rod that you burn. Yeah, a lot of guys think speed comes from rushing. It actually doesn't. You're actually rushing, you just make more mistakes. Basically, my whole objective is to use the grinder as minimal as possible. We're looking to deposit metal. We're not looking to take metal out. So you just got to make sure each pass you put is a nice clean pass where you're burning nice, burning everything out. You got nice heat going. Again, we're gonna ramp, we're gonna always grind our start. So again, just to reiterate, you grind your 12 o'clock start just to make sure you have a nice smooth transition blend into your previous weld. You don't want in that start something to roll over like slag to get trapped in between. When you first struck up, that weld puddle may have rolled onto a piece of slag, and that shows up in an x-ray or something. So I always grind my 12 o'clock start before I start. I'm always watching that puddle. I'm watching that puddle the whole time, making sure it's filling in the groove. My eyes are on the edge of that puddle. And I just want to take my time and walk it down. We're going to see how this fill pass came out. Again, big thing is rod angle. Rod angle, take your time. Let that bevel fill up. So that's my fill pass right there. Nice tied together beads. We done our fill pass. Everything looks great. I'm happy with it. So now we're gonna go straight to our cap. Running 316 on the cap, and let's go. So we're running 316. 316 dumps a lot of metal. So I just pretty much want to walk it down.
Drop me down 5. Down 5. My big thing is to stay in my puddle. I don't want to drop that puddle. I'm going to try not to. So I kind of just slowly work it down. I'm running low on rod. I'm going to stop.
So the big thing here, like I said, I pretty much around 2 o'clock, if you pay attention, around 2 o'clock is when I started a new rod. I kind of dumped my rod I was burning. I started a new rod somewhere around 2 o'clock, so I can actually get out of that danger zone, that dead man's curve, and I'm entering into it or getting out of it right about now. I'll pick up from there.
Again, I kind of stay in my puddle. I really don't like to drop that puddle. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't like to advance too quickly. We're down to the bottom here. I don't want that puddle to kind of drip on me because we're at the bottom. So you might have to like whip out and whip back in, allow that puddle to freeze up a little bit. I go down 5. Again, the biggest thing is stay in that puddle. Don't drop that puddle. Don't advance forward too much. That's basically what I mean. Just let the puddle roll with you. Towards that bottom, I gotta kind of whip out that puddle and come back to it, because you know you got gravity, you're fighting gravity. Gravity always is gonna want to drip on you.
I go down 10. All right, ladies and gents, we are done. That's our finished product right there. I like it. I even like how the bottom came out. No thumbprint at the bottom. Our beads are nice and tight up here. All right, again, try not to drop that puddle. And I can't reiterate enough, we try not to drop that puddle because it looks nice to have a nice uniform tight bead as you're coming down, and that's from advancing too fast. All right, so that's what I mean by drop the puddle. All right, it's basically just guiding my puddle down, and I like it. I think it came out pretty good. It's always room for improvement. I'm not the best welder out there, but I definitely I think I'll give you a quality product. I think our students will give you a quality product because that's pretty much how we train them to produce welds of this type of manner, this type of function. Not so much grinding, more depositing metal, proficiency, speed, and a quality service. Thank you, and see you on the next one.